Good morning, everybody. Thank you for inviting me to talk to you today about some of the industry trends that we're seeing, the digital transformation we've seen across Asia Pacific, and the opportunities for organizations to embrace technology to be resilient. My name is Fiona Carney, and I am the General Manager for Microsoft's Operations and Marketing in Asia Pacific. And I'd like to start by first acknowledging the challenging times that we live in. The pandemic has changed the way we work, live, learn, and connect with our community. During this current global economic climate and time of uncertainty, the biggest learning is that no business is immune to a crisis, and no organization is 100% resilient. It has also taught us that digital businesses and those fortified with some digital capabilities have been able to pivot more rapidly and to respond to their customers' needs. The last 12 months haven't been easy. COVID-19 economic impact is greater than that of the 2008 financial crisis. We noticed that the initial global response to the pandemic accelerated 2 years of digital transformation in just 2 months. And this trend is accelerating. We're at an inflection point where the old ways of working will no longer suffice. Organizations must be fast adopters of technology to overcome the dynamic economic challenges posed by global health, travel, and commerce restrictions. And technology will play a critical role in enabling an inclusive economic recovery. So we're committed to helping our customers deploy and adopt this technology. Organizations that have already embarked on their transformation journey are seeing the benefits. With cloud-enabled technologies, they have access to on-demand tools and capacity tailored to their needs. With scalability and speed of implementation, they're seeing increased cost efficiencies. And with efficient, agile, and self-sufficient tools, their employees are staying productive across the entire organization. We call this tech intensity, and every organization in every industry will increasingly need to embrace tech intensity to be successful and to grow. Like us, every other business and industry is on a journey from the initial COVID-19 emergency response phase through to recovery and towards reimagining the way we work and live post-pandemic. Today, there's a lot of focus on resilience, which is the ability to adapt quickly to changing conditions. And it has become the hallmark for success in today's environment. Organizations that have already embarked on the transformation, as I said, are seeing the benefits. We noticed that organizations that were able to continue operations were those that were able to adapt their operating models and support employee productivity with technology to work from home, as well as offering as much flexibility and support to reduce hardship for employees. We look at the path to economic recovery and resilience in a few key ways. The first is around technology as a platform. For Asia Pacific to remain at the forefront of global transformation, it's definitely going to take disruptors, visionaries, and futurists, as well as digital-first businesses like fintech and digitally native businesses who are fueling transformation by offering services and opening industries like AmChams. Over the past several months, together with our partner ecosystem, we focused on acting as digital first responders to the world's first responders, supporting those on the front lines of this pandemic across healthcare, education, public sector, critical manufacturing, and grocery and retail. The challenge the world faced with the pandemic and the need for forced digital transformation has taught us that technology is in fact more ready than organizations and societies. The second lens we look at is innovation as a culture. A culture of innovation and growth mindset are really required to ensure business agility and resilience. This starts, for example, by facilitating remote work and virtual collaboration, adapting to the new normal, and it continues by encouraging experimentation and creation of new business models. When we think about digital upskilling as an education, we know that the digital divide has also widened, as talent with basic digital skills were hit relatively harder than those with advanced skills. With the current economic crisis, job losses between 5 and 7% of total employment are projected for Asia this year. And as economies reopen and recover, the types of jobs required post-COVID have also evolved very quickly, and we do need to equip the region with the right digital skills. At Microsoft, we've launched a skilling initiative in June last year to help 25 million people acquire digital skills. We saw a 900% increase in users year on year practicing on GitHub Learning Lab, which is a platform for our developers, and a 475% increase in the number of registered users on Microsoft Learn, a platform that helps anyone obtain certifications on Microsoft technology. And we've worked with governments and more than 30 nonprofits in Asia Pacific to increase the employability of 1.2 million people entering the labour market. We're also very aware that there are more than 1 billion people with disabilities around the world. And in Asia, that's nearly 650 million people. That's why we've launched the Microsoft Enabler Program, which is a first for our company, with business partners and not-for-profits working together to improve the employability of people with disabilities in the region. The final lens we look at is around organisation design and how do we build a resilient structure. Reimagining and redesigning organisational structures are key to supporting the future of work and increasing productivity. This ranges from focusing on increased agility and connectivity between internal teams and external stakeholders to focusing on a better interpretation of people analytics and optimization of workflows. So what we've been hearing externally from McKinsey is that there are 4 major trends that will help shape what normal looks like in this new world. The first is around protracted disruption. The impact COVID is going to take years to rebalance or stabilize in some markets. 6 months ago, we were talking about globalization, and now we're looking at glocalization and de-globalization. People have moved to their home countries to be closer to families, and that's impacting the workforce balance. Cloud is no longer a nice to have, it's becoming mandatory for every business as they realize that their digitization plans need to accelerate. When many brick and mortar businesses were suffering during the lockdown, e-commerce and AmChams were thriving. And the spending behaviour, as well as the ease of adoption, may very well mean that going to the shops is a thing of the past. So let's take a moment to consider what this means for businesses. Think about the profound shift in industries, regulation, workforce, and skills needed, as well as the business gaps that are primed to be filled. That create an opportunity for every person and every organisation in every country. Finally, think about how your organisation will do this in an inclusive way. How can everybody participate? I'd like to reflect briefly on the opportunity all of us have to use advances in technology to shape what comes next for our organisations and for the industry more broadly. The world is becoming a computer. Every part of our daily life and work and every aspect of our society and our economy are being transformed by digital technology. Every place, every industry, every profession, everything is becoming digitized. And this is creating incredible amounts of data and opportunities. We've also seen how digital natives, so the millennial generation that consists of 2 billion people globally, and 58% of them live in Asia, are using technology to work for anyone around the world and from anywhere. Their global perspectives and concerns about income inequality, unemployment, climate change, and environmental protection, as well as economic growth, corruption in business and politics, and ambition to start their own business, are disrupting industries and businesses all over. And that's not all. The ASEAN economy is projected to become the 4th largest economy in the world by 2030. A major part of this economy consists of SMEs, small and medium-sized businesses. So when it comes to generating data, we're outpacing even our own expectations. And with all of this data, the challenge organizations face is not just how to deal with the volume. It's also finding ways to generate new customer value leveraging all of this data. That's how organizations will become industry leaders. I'd like to share 2 trends that we're seeing. The first is around the rise in connected devices. 50 billion connected devices are going to come online by 2030. And as a comparison, there were 2 billion devices online in 2010. A second trend is the rise in data. IDC estimates that by 2025, the world's data will grow to 175 zettabytes. That's 175 trillion gigabytes. To put that in context, imagine putting that much data onto Blu-ray discs. You'd have a stack of discs that could get you to the moon and back 23 times. So how do we harness this data, unlock insights, and ultimately value for our customers? I mentioned earlier the concept of tech intensity and how important this is for organizations to build. We've taken this idea and applied it to the concept of a digital feedback loop. This is the new reality that we get data from all of our key elements in business, from our customers much more fluidly than ever before, through every interaction, online and physical, through our products, as so much can be monitored real time, allowing us to be more proactive in helping service our products for our customers, through our employees with internal touch points across organizations and communities, and all of this allowing us to redesign our operations with new business models, leveraging all of the data we have access to. With data and intelligence at the core and a world of computing, this is how organizations unlock new value for their customers. For them to be successful, organizations need the capability to digitally connect every facet of their business, from their customers to their employees, their operations to products. Historically, customers have faced a difficult trade-off here when choosing solutions to address their various needs. Do they choose various point solutions that are powerful yet disconnected from each other? Or do they choose the broad solution, even if it's less powerful for a given workload? Customers shouldn't have to make trade-offs when choosing solutions to give their digital transformation. They need connected, effective solutions offering depth and cohesion to transform and become more resilient in today's environment. Which brings me to what can we do as leaders? A few things that come to mind, starting with empowering our employees, helping to foster a culture for hybrid work, offering as much flexibility as possible. Secondly, engaging our customers intelligently and virtually through many new mediums that are available. We can transform our products with new business models and optimize our operations to keep customers and employees safe. Again, I think this is just part of our new normal. We can reimagine the world where moving to cloud and digitizing of operations are the foundation that will help us to thrive in the post-pandemic future, where digital transformation and having a growth mindset are the building blocks for every business across Asia, and where data will play a key role in making every business intelligent, better enabling decision-making, forecasting, planning, and optimization. And where intelligence leads to transformation, that in turn leads to resilience. In terms of navigating through and learning from the pandemic, we look at the journey in 3 distinct phases: how we've responded to it, how we are recovering, and then how we are reimagining the future. For the response phase, we learned a lot around the culture of innovation over the last year and how it fuels business resilience and economic recovery. In fact, 41% of organizations regard the pandemic as an opportunity to innovate and rethink their business models, which we learned in a research study we did with IDC last year. And there are so many examples of ways businesses have embraced cloud during the pandemic that have had a very real societal impact. A few to mention from Microsoft. At Pertamina in Indonesia, Teams was used to hold virtual town halls and for online interfaith prayers for employees and their families across the country. I think what this taught us is that remote working isn't just about working remotely. It's also about safeguarding employee well-being and helping them build emotional resilience as they maintain workplace culture as part of organizational health. I think as business leaders, it's also a really important part of leading with empathy. In Sri Lanka, we worked with the Ceylon tea auction to save 2 million jobs. It's one of the world's greatest tea producing countries. And the tea auction process was digitized to safeguard the 150-year-old industry and protect the livelihoods of almost 2 million people. The Sri Lanka Tea Board and Sikra Solutions moved the weekly Colombo tea auction onto the cloud with Azure within just 6 days, keeping auction rooms open and buyers safely apart. And in New Zealand, when Bank of New Zealand switched to Microsoft Teams in January last year, they ensured that employees could collaborate remotely, especially during the lockdown in March. Their business leaders also recognised the importance of leading by example and remaining accessible to employees to drive change. And senior executives engaged employees via Teams meetings and Teams live events, online group trainings, and other ways of communicating to ensure that all employees were connected and up to speed. And finally, in Vietnam, we set up online learning for 3.3 million teachers and students in just 27 hours in response to the pandemic. So I think all of these examples have been great ways in which technology has had a positive impact, not only for businesses and audiences, but also for society at large. So as we think about supporting the recovery phase, businesses are optimizing costs and streamlining operations in a number of ways. They're consolidating IT assets, removing overlaps and overspend, and streamlining operations through data-driven decisions and removing bottlenecks. They're also driving sustainable and inclusive development. And the way that we can collectively as leaders make that happen is by ensuring access to education, training, and technology. Lastly, in the reimagine phase, studies indicate that APAC economies are projected to see some recovery in 2021. And this recovery will depend on a couple of key factors. First is the reopening and resumption of main industries that power each country's economy, like tourism, hospitality, airline, and other sectors that support these industries. And second is around industry disruptors, including e-commerce, virtual experiences, and new business models that will kickstart a culture of innovation. As a community, we have the opportunity and responsibility to help industries that are trying to survive, to not only survive, but also to thrive. So finally, what does all of this mean for humanity? People, organizations, and societies can and must transform to pave the way to economic recovery. Governments increasingly recognize that economies can reach their full potential only with the full participation of both women and men. Our empathy and our creativity will become even more valuable in a world where technology will disrupt the status quo as never before. Which is why we have a responsibility and a very important role to play to shape our region and country's future. It's important to envision what difference we can all make to shape that world, and to be successful, we all need to come together. Ultimately, this is what grounds us in our mission for empowering every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your morning and afternoon.